Josefina Bashout. Welcome to the zoo. We're so happy to have you here.
Yes! Give it up for everybody.
Take us away, Dennis.
Yeah.
Okay, baby girl, you know what to do. 1, 2, 3.
All right, I'm really happy to have
Me too.
Josefina, and I might slip and just call her Josie. She's a personal friend of mine.
Oh, really?
We've gone to many a Burning Man and Bhakti Festival together. And along the way, I've seen you develop into this leader of sexual empowerment and women and people just coming into their own as a person, particularly their sexuality, which is a big part of our person, right?
Yes.
So tell us about how you got to this place. How did your journey start?
So if we're going way back.
Let's go way back.
Let's go way back. Want to go way back in time?
Yeah.
Back in time.
I like that.
So going way back into time, being an LA native and also first generation Middle Eastern woman, coming from a mold and a culture where it's taboo to be sexually expressed.
Right.
You can't even wear shoes without shoes in the streets, then you're then considered low class.
Right.
Okay.
So having to deal with that stigma of being controlled and being closed off. And the journey of my own sexual expression really started when this, one would call traumatic event happened in my life. When I was about 12 years old, someone outside of the family ended up molesting me. I was in a situation where it was nighttime and it was dark, and I ended up going into the room, and when that guy was in the space, he ended up violently molesting me. And at that time, I had no idea what was going on. And
Wow, that's rough.
it's, well, and then he throws $5 at me.
What?
So then
God.
imagine being at that age, being, and in that situation and not having any understanding what's going on, and then someone throwing money at you. So imagine as a young girl in society that already was having a lot of social control, then being thrown money at. So then equating that to my worth and value at that time. So from that moment, that shaped my entire trajectory of my life and the journey that I had with my body. And at that time, I started disconnecting from my body because then my ideas, it wasn't safe. It wasn't safe. And then I would continue to walk down the street, and every time I would be expressed in the streets here of California, somehow I would attract scenarios into my life. I had a guy come out of an apartment complex in Mar Vista and held a gunpoint at me and tried to abduct me in the middle of daytime at 3 p.m. Then I've had men riding on bikes, flashing their in the middle of the street.
Oh my God.
What?
So there's all of this energy that's gone on
so
around
insane.
this is true, right? So we're going way back. So then my belief system was wow, I need to really protect myself. I need to really guard up and put my warrior on.
Yeah.
So then immediately there's a disconnection to sexuality. There's an immediate disconnection to femininity because then it's not safe through that belief system. And then as I got older, I had a boyfriend. We were together for 6 years, and he was Latin. He was a Latin lover, and he was beautiful. But then I never had an orgasm.
What?
I didn't know how to have an orgasm. And I considered marrying this man without even experiencing an orgasm.
Okay.
Because it wasn't a priority as much.
Not good, girl, not good.
Well, sex was good,
Okay.
but without having an orgasm.
Okay, okay.
And that was something that I wanted to really explore. So sharing in a super vulnerable context, which is why I'm here, is then in a place of trying to experience an orgasm. I watched a movie. I don't remember what movie it was, but there was some movie where this guy took a vacuum cleaning hose and he put his penis inside of the hose. So this ending was I tried that on myself. I took this vacuum cleaning hose and was like,
Oh my God, are you okay afterwards?
Well, she's
I
fine,
was
look
not,
at her.
no, I was not okay.
But did you have an orgasm?
I did not have an orgasm.
But
So
your
no
vagina was
orgasm,
clean.
And I wasn't okay.
And you vacuum cleaned yourself.
I know,
literally.
and listen, it was more of a mess than it was clean.
Oh, wow.
It was really harmful.
So was this the point where you're like, okay, I gotta find a better way internally to be able to
No.
get to that point? No?
So then what happened was through this.
I'm sorry about this
God.
question, but did
I'm
you ever
still picturing
did
this.
you ever
I know.
explore using your hand instead of the vacuum cleaner?
I did, and guess what?
What?
I couldn't even feel my own sensation. I was so disconnected from my body.
Really?
Yeah.
So
As
the
a re-
hand thing didn't work.
Not at all.
Okay, okay.
There was zero pleasure in my hand. Today, oh yes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what's the secret?
So the secret was I ended up facing another time with this whole journey with my own pussy. Can I say that?
Yeah,
Okay.
because you are known, and if we have to bleep it out, hopefully, because we're talking with,
The
talking
priestess.
in terms of pussy cat, right? No, not really.
No,
She is
no.
the priestess.
Priestess.
Thank you. And it wasn't until I didn't speak about it and what I realized is our thoughts create a reality. And so I created a physical manifestation in my body that turned into pre-cervical cancer, CIN 2 and 3 cervical dysplasia.
Wow.
And that was actually the wake-up call for me to change my life and my connection to my body.
Wow.
So that actually was a huge catalyst. And then that brought me into mind-body awareness and yoga and meditation and changing my diet and really deepening self-love, because all of what sexuality and sensuality is just deepening self-love and knowing yourself on the deepest level of what feels good and of putting positive thoughts and sexy thoughts into the body.
Yeah.
What I think it's super interesting now that in this era we're talking about like all this, you know, vibrational stuff, how you attract stuff with your own thoughts and things like this. What is this technique that you use to manifest your desires or whatever it is you want to bring into reality through masturbation?
Ooh, I call that sex magic.
Because trust me, if that's the way I'm gonna manifest things in life,
Then
I'm
I'm
on this program now.
And you got about a minute before the commercial break to give us that, and then we'll come back with more. But tell us that secret.
Okay, so the sex magic secret.
I'm
so
ready to learn.
Ready to go. So what you're doing is have an idea of what you want to manifest in your mind. Hold that vision, hold that vision.
Okay.
Then as you start to build your orgasm, just start to feel what it's like to have that vision. So as you're starting to pleasure yourself and as you're starting to build that energy, you're using your life
Not here, everybody, right?
for that. And then let go of the idea and just go into the full orgasmic bliss sensation of your orgasm.
Is this like when Harry met Sally?
I'm not gonna orgasm here in the middle of the show.
Can we do
Girl,
something?
this happens in the car all the time when
Wow.
we're making business calls.
Can we, before we go to commercial, can we
Maybe I
all...
need to practice.
No, you do. Vivian, you've told me how often you masturbate and you do need to practice.
I haven't told you any of
Yeah, you did.
that. Also,
You know, 'cause you're my friend. We're friends and you tell me these things.
I have not told you.
Okay, before you send us out to commercial, everyone visualize what they want and then kind of have kind of a pseudo semi-orgasm, and then you send us out to commercial. Ready? Visualize.
No, we're not going to do fake orgasms.
No fake orgasms.
No.
Just deep in your breath.
I'm very unfocused.
All right, we are back on the Zoom with my friend Josefina Bashout, and Vivian is still during the commercial break talking to her about envisioning and coming to her own and finding that place. I did find that place in that exercise. I felt a little bit actually.
Yeah.
So, Josie, you've gone to Latin America. You've gone to places like Colombia to talk about, you know, coming into your own, your sexual power and all that. And in Latin America, it's a place with a lot of burgeoning sexuality, but a lot of repression at the same time. So, what have people in Latin America, women and men, how have they responded to you?
It's interesting. So when I arrived to Latin America, a lot of the response that I got from men was be prepared for resistance from the women.
Right.
Because there's also a really big religious factor there. So I'm talking about spirituality and sex and God in a sense. So it's not only there's the repression of sexuality, there's also then the repression from then the religious standpoint. And so it's interesting to hear from the men that they think that I would be meeting up against a really big wall. I actually got the complete opposite response from the women. Women were really intrigued. Yes, they were a little bit timid because they weren't sure what was going on, but they trusted. I mean, I had a room full of over 40-something women that came in, not speaking English, had no idea who I was, but were really interested in the work. I mean, that alone speaks volumes to having a language barrier.
How it's needed, too.
How it's desperately needed, and how women are really open and available, but there isn't a space. And so what I taught them was this mind-body connection. I taught them how to not have any shame around their sexual desires, how it's okay to express them, and how to actually activate their kundalini energy, their sexual life force energy, in a way that they were able to really see themselves and feel themselves in a new way. Because the big thing, too, in these cultures that are repressed is there's also a lot of jealousy.
Oh, yeah.
Between
A
them,
lot
a lot of
between the women, competition and gossiping and all of this pollution,
all this bullshit.
all of this, because why? They're not connected to the jewel that they are as women. And so when they understand their own potent essence, then all of a sudden it comes from jealousy into sisterhood.
Yeah.
And so that was a really big need in the community, right?
love
Women
it.
getting together.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course. And empowering each other.
Exactly, women empowering each other. And then also being able to then support the men. So you should have seen the men when we walk out of the cars. The men are like, where did you women come from? Because we're glowing and we're open and we're laughing.
It's like a marriage saver too, in a way. Like, you know, these dull marriages that are like stuck in routine or whatever. Then all of a sudden the wife goes to this place and then she comes out a new woman. You better watch out for her.
No, that's what we need.
It's like, yeah, that's exactly what we need.
Whether we know it or not.
Yeah,
You know, you need it. Men need it. And the beautiful
Yeah.
gift with this is men are getting to have these deeper conversations around what are you experiencing as a woman. So now she gets to communicate, what did I experience? She's bringing new ideas to the bedroom, to the relationship. And then men are having an interest. And so I did actually one-on-one sessions with men, intimacy coaching.
I wanted to ask you about that because I want to know what the difference is between your female clientele, which I think you're most known for, versus your male clientele.
Oh God, I love working with both so much because I love to be able to help men rise to their fullest potential in their heart space. And so with women, we're really touching and connecting and doing breath work, and there's like this sister ritual bond. With men, we're using breath, we're using eye gazing, we're dropping into the body through meditation, and then we're going through more of a discussion and a heartfelt conversation as far as fears, as far as what do they want to experience in their life, what are they stopping themselves, what is the perception that they even have of women that are blocking for them? And how do they want to show up differently? So it's helping men create a new vision and idea for their own evolution. And that I love because I feel like it's not about separating the women and the men. It's about this unity, right? This dance that we do together. But I love to use the analogy of we come to this ballroom and we dance. But if one partner's not practicing and they show up to dance with their partner and the dancer's like shit because he hasn't been practicing. So it's like there's this opportunity where each of us get to go and practice our moves and then come together and be in this dance, but it still requires its own personal evolution for us to be able to do this work. And so for men to then show up differently, like one of my clients who was like playing and partying a lot, and he's well known in Colombia, we had a session and he went immediately to Medellin to go to like this biggest party of the weekend. He came back and he was totally shifted. He didn't connect, he didn't hook up with a woman, he didn't party as much as he normally would have. He actually communicated that he felt a shift in his being of the man that he wanted to be and the way that he wanted to engage with a woman. So then men are also becoming more mindful of their energy and how they're sharing themselves.
And to break through their inhibitions. I mean, I think that, you know, my process, you know, growing into adulthood has been, in terms of my getting in touch with my sexuality, has been to understand why I have certain inhibitions and how to deal with them and how to move them out of the way, which are the ones that I have as blockages trying to protect myself from something that I probably don't have to be protecting myself from.
Right, exactly. All of the illusion of the mind, and that's a big thing with men that I experience with the intimacy factor. Women, it's the connection with the body or the lack of sensuality. With men, it's more along the lines of the fear of intimacy, the fear of going deep, the fear of a woman going past their armor into a place of them getting hurt or this false idea. And that's actually the biggest barrier to love and deepening like orgasmic sex.
So how can we like find your retreats, or, you know, where can we find you to do that?
Yes, you can find me directly on my website if you go to josefinabashout.com. And you can also find me on Instagram at the Pu y Priestess. But now on Instagram, you've got to use 3 S's because with social media, is still considered a bad word.
We're talking about pussycat, right?